Boom, boom, boom. Hey guys, welcome back to Jason Unleashed. How's it going? I'm your host, Jason Carter. Thank you for joining us today, joining me. So happy to be here with you and so happy for my guest today. He's incredible. He is the host of People Now, Jeremy Parsons. You've seen him everywhere. The Wendy Williams Show, Good Morning America, The Today Show, and he is here live. Let's bring Jeremy in. Bam.
Jeremy is on the show today. That sounds like he works hard for the money. What am I doing? Jeremy, okay. Hi, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for the intro. It was amazing.
Okay, and by the way, listen, everyone watching in Jeremy, I have shirt sweat. It's really hot here in California. So no judgment. I don't want any judgment. It's been a long day. It's been a long life, damn it. Jeremy, it's good to see you, man. I know we were talking earlier, and I'm glad to have you back on the show. How are you, man, since we last talked?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Still good since the last talk. Yeah, I was mentioning to you before that my wife, two little girls, two cats are keeping me busy. But we've ended up, we've made it work here, and I've finished all the streaming services, and I have, gone through all these levels of just kind of feeling crazy sometimes and then feeling really good about it at other times. We've been very fortunate. No one's sick. So things are good so far.
I love that. Glad to hear that. You know, Jeremy, you've been very open and very effusive about your career and how you started in production. You're this West Virginia boy. You love pop culture, and you've taken a really a road to get to where you at now. And now you're on People Now daily. You and Andre Beckel, great show. You guys have great guests, and I just love the content. Actually, you guys are what I watch on the treadmill, and I have and that's a very special place for me. So if I'm watching on the treadmill, that means that like I'm a diehard fan. Working at People, which is one of the most protected, heralded, celebrated, loved, fanned over. I mean, you name it. Every positive word about a publication has been said about People. Working there, that experience, what has it been like for you?
Yeah, no, it's been really great. I've been about 5 years or so, a little over 5 years since I came on board. It's funny. I was working in LA at the time that I got the job here. I was working at KTLA, like filling in at KTLA for Sam Rubin, who's like the veteran of all entertainment anchors. And they sent me to New York for a junket to interview the cast of like Jimmy Fallon and a bunch of NBC shows, Law and Order and stuff like that. And my agent said like, "Hey, People's doing this audition for this new show," and I went to it. It worked out, and 3 months later, I moved to New York, and now we launched the show months after that. And it's taken on, all kinds of different iterations. But yeah, People has been really good to me, and it's been a pleasure to work there. You're right. Like the level of, I've worked for a lot of different places, and I've interviewed celebrities. You walk in the room from various different places. When you walk in and you're there from People at any capacity, there's a level of respect that is held with it, that celebrities like to talk to people. And so that's been a real pleasure. It really has. And then, yes, it's opened up opportunities for me to do shows, great shows like Wendy Williams and The Today Show and GMA and Rachael Ray and all that.
It's great to watch you. You mentioned that the people roll out the red carpet for people. People roll out the carpet for People. But the conversations you have with celebrities, because you've interviewed some major A-listers. Now more than ever, I feel like conversations are changing in those interviews because people no longer want to talk. Yeah, they want to talk about their projects, but they're more socially conscious. Dare I say woke, right? What are you finding out? What are you finding is changing in pop culture and in entertainment, being in the thick of it?
In a great way, I think in a great way, I think what we ask a lot about and what we hear people want to talk about more and more are things like representation in the media and representation and on the big screen, on the small screen, and just down the line. That's something that, look, there's always more work to be done. There is no question about it, though. Even in the 5 years or so I've been working at People, that you really do see that consciousness like permeating through to whether it's, filmmakers and directors and executives and whatever, all the way to the actors and the people involved. And there's just incredible stuff going on. I just, I don't know. I'm always now in isolation. I'm doing these Zoom interviews and stuff all the time. I was just talking to some cast members from Mindy Kaling's newest project about this exact thing and how not so long ago you would have never seen some of the things in terms of representation that you're seeing now.
Right.
And that's a lot of that's thanks to the different platforms and different ways people can consume media. There are more opportunities. So of course, long way to go, but yeah, it's definitely shifting in a great way.
With all of the celebrity and the pop culture and everything at your disposal, being who you are and doing what you do in this industry, are there ever times where you're like, I want something more substantive, where you have to like, you want to disconnect and not talk about a subject?
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a job's a job, no matter what the job is, right? So you always reach those points where it's like, okay, deep breath, here we go. But honestly, I will say in the world of entertainment news, like we were talking about, that you know a lot about, the great thing about people specifically, and I know it's like I'm doing a big commercial here, but truly,
No, it's
there's
cool.
a lot of human interest stories. There's a lot of opportunity to talk to celebrities about the causes and the things that they're passionate about beyond just the projects that they're working on. And I'm a dad. I love talking about family. I love talking about like tips and tricks for not going absolutely insane as a dad. So there's, there are opportunities to kind of dive into topics and just areas of conversation as a result of being at people that I wouldn't have otherwise. And so in those ways, that really does refresh me, and being able to be involved in things that have to do with, I don't know, organizations and causes that are sort of entertainment adjacent, It's
Right.
because of the platform that the stars have that it's happening, but it's still for a good cause and bringing light to a good thing.
100%. Moving from LA to New York, and I've always wanted to ask this because I feel like people like I moved from Albuquerque to LA, right? So that's kind of a move. But from LA to New
I think that's a
York,
pretty big move.
no, it was well, Jeremy. I've lived in LA 3 times, so it's after the third time you're just like whatever. But when you decided to take the job in New York, and were you trepidatious at first because we deal with a lot of rejection. And you go out on audition after audition, you're constantly told you're not good enough. And indirectly, directly, there's just a lot of things that go into play when being talent in an industry that works like no other. Tell us, I want to know about times where you had to overcome rejection. And how did you do that? Because I feel like those are the nuggets and the jewels that people want to know when they see someone successful. How did you overcome adversity?
One of the most, I guess the biggest trials I went through in terms of just like self-identity was when my job ended at Reel's channel where I was. They shut down the show we were doing. So it was like, boom, done. I had a little girl that was less than 1 year old at that point. And all of a sudden I was daddy daycare, stay-at-home dad. My wife was working. I spent that year and what became, I made a deal with myself at the beginning of that whenever I talked to my industry friends or other people about how things were going, that I'd be honest about it. There's obviously you want to put up a front and you want to have momentum and you don't want to be moping about like things not going well. But I really did make a conscious decision to be pretty real about it. Like, hey, I'm finding other ways to be fulfilled and whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was during that year, and I'm not trying to be philosophical or whatever, but that year of being stripped away from a work identity really gave me a sense of like, whoa, I've got to find identity in things greater than myself and in things that are less superficial and fickle as a job. Because jobs come and go, your sense of like relevance or presence in social media or whatever, that all comes and goes. So having a greater sense of identity, I actually feel like it prepped me for moving forward, because it was kind of like, all right, look, they're going to keep coming and going, right? Like there are going to be ups and downs, but you got to find like a real sense of purpose and a deeper level of, hey, I have value as a person regardless of what my job is. And
right.
So that to me was a huge shift. And again, I know that sounds like very like, okay, come on. But really, that was a pivotal shift for me.
Jeremy, first, people are celebrating that in the comments right now because it's real. Don't apologize for your experience, because that's real. I know exactly what you're talking about, because we work so hard to arrive at a place. We bust your ass. You're talented. You have the skill set. You have a great ethic, and then the rug is pulled out from underneath you. And sometimes that's just the business is that way. And so something that has defined you, because when you are a face of something, there is a definition to that. And then taking a step back and having the courage to say, listen, I'm unemployed at the moment. Like I'm unemployed. Jeremy, I am unemployed at the moment, but
it's happening right now.
But yeah, right in this very moment. But being able to say, okay, you know what? That's all right. That's the surrendering and letting go and finding the peace in that. That's the real work. So thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people don't. And you mentioned posturing for social media, putting up a front, looking busy. it takes more courage to not do those things than it does to do those things. So thank you for being honest about that,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are celebrating
And
that.
to give you just to perfectly kind of frame how real life is, as I was sharing that, and now as you were sharing that very thoughtful thing, one of my cats just puked right over my shoulder on the carpet. True.
The
Just happened.
universe,
So
dude.
this is where we're at. This is where we're at in quarantine. It's all happening. So there's enjoy that little. You can.
Hey, they said Jeremy for president 2020. Jaylene from Albuquerque, I see you. Hey, Boo, thanks for watching. So you are like the world's greatest dad. I'm telling
Oh,
you,
okay.
and I don't. No, seriously,
Hey,
because
that is the Facebook fronting. I put the good stuff back.
Jeremy, okay, look, well, fine. I will live in a fronted world in regards to that, because you celebrate your wife, you celebrate your daughters. I mean, there's so many great posts, and I have to live through you vicariously through social media. But you are such a family man, and there's also a theme of faith there. There's a faith. There is just such a jovial and positive light when it comes to how you share your family. Being a dad, how has that, and this is the dumbest question, but I always have to hear this because it's different for everyone. How has that changed your life and enriched your life?
It's like how what is it not touch? For one thing, to give you an idea, the other day we were walking in the park in like a wooded area, and there was a snake, like a foot and a half long snake, and my 8-year-old little girl just runs right up to it and start touching. Like, she would just pick it up, and I'm like, stop. You can't just do. We don't know what kind of snake it is. So it is one terrifying adventure. That's what it is. One big, long, terrifying adventure. The sappy part of it is that being a dad, it really puts a mirror up to you because you see so much of yourself. And man, it's like there are things you like, there are things you don't like, and it's just crazy to see these little versions of me walking around and the things that they then respond to. One time, my little girl, this is the like. A reality check for me. I was putting them to sleep. I do this nighttime prayers and stories and talk at night, and it's like one of the best times because they'll just open up. But I had been ranting to my wife earlier in the day about something or whatever, and my little girl, as I was doing it, she was like, "Well, okay, you can go now. I know you want to go." And she apologized. She's like, "I'm sorry that you have to be here with me right now," because she thought that I had something else that I really wanted to be doing, because she had heard me talking about something completely unrelated earlier. That was stressing me out, that I needed to work on. And I was just like, no, I'm here with you. Like, and it reminded me, and I actually posted about it because it reminded me, like, whoa, I need to remind them and let them know I like being with them. And like, I would rather be with them than anyone else at any time. So it's just things like that you start to kind of be a little more introspective, and thoughtful about the way you act and the way you say things you do in front of them. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy.
I love it. And I actually saw that post, and that's when I think I actually commented on it, because you're just it's so authentic, and the love you have for your family and your daughters.
That, Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I feel like I feel like I'm not saintly enough to go on your Instagram because I'm not as good a person as you are, Jeremy.
What are you talking about?
Like, I open up your social media, and like holy water flies at me. It's just like I need to be saved. No, I'm just kidding. But your family's beautiful, man, and it's just awesome to see. What's next? Because we know we're in quarantine for a while. I mean, I don't know what's going on in New York.
Yeah.
I know Cuomo's really trying to open back up the city, and the state and get everything back together. Here in LA, they're estimating we're going to be under some kind of quarantine for 3 more months. At least that's the last reporting. Even though they're rolling back some of the stay-at-home restrictions a little bit.
Yeah.
After quarantine, after COVID-19, where does Jeremy Parsons see himself? We love you on people, but because I would love a Jeremy Parsons talk show possibly, but.
Okay.
But you're around Hoda, Jenna, you're around all the Rachael. Have you picked up any skills that could possibly lend itself to you possibly writing a book? Or, because you're around all these people.
You're pitching all kinds of great ideas here. I like this. Can you be my agent, like moving forward? Or my
idea guy, but I get 10%. I get 10%, Jerry. I get 10%.
Yeah. I do love the idea of a book at some point because, we're doing interviews with celebrities and all these experiences are in some ways mind-blowing, and to some degree, like I said before, like I'm just this like kid from West Virginia who grew up, for me, the Today Show specifically, I grew up watching. My 16th birthday present, my dad and I went to New York so I could stand out in the window of the Today Show, right? I'm like holding the sign out So every time I've been in there, and I say this to our publicist Julie Farron all the time, that like when I'm inside that studio, looking out that window at those people standing there, I'm like, that was me, and I cannot believe I'm standing right here right now. I can't believe I'm about to look into this camera and say the words that are going to come out of my mouth on the camera. So it's moments like that have been very sort of bucket list, full circle. You name it. Like interviewing Tom Hanks, for example, was a huge one for me. I grew up loving the movie Big. The time I first interviewed him was one of my favorite interviews ever. He was incredible. And he I had him scratch himself off my bucket list, which was so stupid, but he played along. And just things like that are just mind blowing. So whatever comes next, I don't know, maybe it's a book capturing all of these experiences. I don't know if that's interesting for anyone other than me, but who knows?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of Big too. Actually, in 1988, I saw it at the movie theater Christmas Eve. Or maybe, yes, it was Christmas Eve. Absolutely, it was Christmas Eve. And love Tom Hanks. I mean, The Shawshank Redemption, some of the best moments in cinema have been at
How old
the
were
hand.
you in 1988 is my real question.
Listen, no, you're not getting, no. You're not going to set me up. What kind of...
By the way, if anyone needs to write a book, it's you. Your experiences, Albuquerque to LA, RuPaul, the whole. I mean, you got some things.
Hey, tell that to my agent because I'm trying to figure it out still, man. But Jeremy, looking back on your bucket list and you scratching these things off and having these successes, do you have any regrets?
Ooh, good question. Oh my gosh! Wow, stumped. First time
Boom!
ever. Do I have regrets? I guess maybe that early didn't feel as confident about verbalizing that I wanted to pursue this kind of stuff. And it's not a huge regret because I've always kind of, as a kid even, like people knew, anyone that I grew up with is like, oh, you're doing what we always knew you do. But I guess I mean like there's a level of, and people deal with this in different ways, of taking yourself seriously enough to go after it, whatever it is. Right. And so, I guess I've had moments of that where it's been a little like, I don't know. But honestly, overall, man, I feel like I don't have many, and I don't have any regrets, and I'm really happy about that because I've embraced a spirit of adventure early on, and I credit my parents for that. Like they kind of put that in me, and like, hey, just blaze your trail, whatever that looks like. Not to say that I don't feel like I'm on some peak here. I'm just saying that like. Sort of like an unbridled pursuit of the adventure is the way I've kind of approached a lot of life, and that has served me really well overall.
I love it. That's the best answer because you roll with the punches. You take it as it goes, and it's all leading you someplace good. You're really good live. A little birdie told me that you're going to be hosting a very special charity event coming up soon, and I want you to tell everyone what it is because I think it's incredible.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So there's an organization that reached out to me last year. I ended up getting connected through an old college friend that reached out to me. It's called Miss Wheelchair USA. Here's the deal: small event, but they're actually growing, and it's a national sort of pageant type competition, and the whole heart of it is for women who are in a wheelchair for various reasons to be able to share their platform and to have an experience in a pageant type environment that they can be seen as beautiful, be seen as smart, be seen as just the incredible people they are. It's sort of in spite of, but also also embracing the fact that they are in a wheelchair. So it's this really incredible thing. So this year I'm back doing it. I'm going to be hosting it this year. Again, it's a small thing that's growing, but I'm really excited about it. I loved doing it last year. I met some incredible people. The stories that these women had and the things that they've overcome and the way they are looking at life when many of them are facing incredible adversity it's just very inspiring. And I love that the organization is creating an environment in a celebratory, fun way to really celebrate them and to give them a platform.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's coming up in July.
Love it. Doing the good work, man. Doing the good work as always. Before I let you go, because I know you're a busy guy and you got a lot to do, what advice? Because a lot of people come, especially for us working in this business and people that have been successful and have had awesome careers, what advice do you have to those wanting to break in to just this industry in general, any facet of it?
Yeah.
What would you say?
The first thing that I always tell people is don't be afraid to take a job that you don't want in order to ultimately get the job you do want, right? I mean, I remember I have a lot of friends or people that I would encounter along the way that, like when I was becoming a production assistant, it's like, why would you do that? That's not what you want to do. That's not the angle. My attitude was, hey, I would rather have a job I don't necessarily care about in the industry than a job I don't care about outside the industry.
Yeah.
And I can actually point back to that first job and connections I made there that ended up leading to this, that led to that, and ultimately led me to this moment. So I would say that, like, there's something about just being willing and nimble enough to kind of like in wherever you can. And then the other thing, I remember when early on in LA, I ended up a producer at Good Morning America kind of took me under his wing. And one of the first things he said was like, just network. I mean, anyone you meet, try to make an effort to genuinely connect and connect again outside of just asking for stuff. Reach out. Hey, here's what I'm doing. Hope everything's going well with you. That's it, So then ultimately, as the process of career and life goes on, when you finally do need help with this or that or whatever, you have this network of people that you can reach out to, and it doesn't feel like you're just being, a user or something. You're actually connecting with people and actually building relationships. So building relationships and be willing to jump in wherever you can. I think for me, that's the advice.
I love it. I love it. Jeremy, people are loving you. They're talking about your hair. Dude, and moms really love you. My mom adores you. My mom, every time you're on, she's like,
Here's
ooh.
the moms.
And she's like, that Jeremy Parsons, yum. I'm like, good taste, Mom. Good taste. It has been, I'm serious, man. Gwen loves you. You have a fan in my mom, Gwen. She thinks, what a name. She says such a regal name, Gwen, but she thinks you're incredible. And
Lots of love back to Gwen, by the way.
And they also said they want to see you in the Drag Race pit crew. So hey, we could make you an honorary pit crew member.
You tell me the time and place. I look forward to the opportunity. This is what I said. When the opportunity comes, you say yes.
It has been an honor and a pleasure to talk to you, Jeremy. They can watch People Now daily. Where at?
People Now is streaming during this. We're at 1 p.m. Eastern on People's Twitter handle, which is @People, and then on People's Facebook. We're on People TV. You can download the People TV app. We also do, by the way, an Alexa flash briefing. You just got to tell your Alexa to turn on the People skill. I'm there every single morning with Andrea Belke, my co-host.
I'm doing that. I did not know that. Thank you. Thank you for the COVID-19 gift that you just gave me, Jerry. I had no idea that you got programming that when I'm done for real.
Okay.
Get back. You go on with your day. Jeremy Parsons, you are a king. Pleasure. Talk to you soon. Hug the family for me, and you stay safe and be well, man.
You're a king. I appreciate you having me on here so much. Thank you so much, man. It's really good to talk to you. And tell
See you soon.
Our mutual friends in Albuquerque I say hello.
I absolutely do that, man. See you soon, man. Take care.